What is something that is weighing on your mind that you may need advice on? I, 17 years old female, went to my school counselor about all the nasty stuff my stepfather, 50 years old male, does. It's caused chaos at home. My mom and dad divorced a few years ago, and now my mom is dating Zach. It was really stressful when he moved into the house with us. He's bossy and gets pissed off easy. I started keeping a diary to vent, and every day I'd write in it and talk about what was going on in my life. It helped me cool down and relax when I was upset. A few weeks ago, stuff got really stressful at home and I decided to put together a list of stuff that upset me and go to the school counselor for advice. I wasn't expecting her to get very involved. I just wanted to talk to someone. My best friend has talked to her about coping with her mom's death and she said she was very kind and helpful. So I went to the counselor and I'd made a list of the things that Zach did that made me angry, because I wanted to be prepared to talk. I tend to clam up if I have to talk about personal things, and I didn't want that to happen. So I brought this list that I'll copy here. Zach yells easily if he doesn't get his way, at me, at other people like the Applebee's waitress, the cashier at the Walmart, etc. Zach is big on making up even when I'm not ready. He will make me hug him even if I'm still mad, because he's over being mad and wants to make things better. Even though it doesn't work that way, Zach doesn't respect my privacy. He went through my drawers and got mad because I had panties that he thought were too SLT. I've got to hide my diary outside the house because I don't trust him to not read it. Zach is judgmental of my friends, how much money their families have or don't have. He says mean stuff about their families, like how, names, mama is on meth. Zach tried to go through my phone, look at personal texts with a boy I was dating, but luckily my phone was at 1% and died and I hid my charger. Zach is an aggressive driver and I won't go in his car. Anyway, I told my school counselor all of that and I could tell she was very concerned. She asked about my diary, and I said I had more detail about all of this in my diary. I'd show her those pages if she wanted. Showing her the diary was easier than talking for me, so I was happy to. And after that, things went downhill. It seems like the counselor has the impression stuff is sexually motivated, but that's not how it is. And she's filed a report with CPS. She said she had no choice because that's the law. When I was at home and Zach was yelling at me about something, I let it slip what I'd done. I told him to shut up because CPS was coming soon and he shouldn't be adding to the list of nasty stuff he'd said. He got even madder and is planning on going to the school today to confront the principal. I'm not sure what will happen. Plus there's still the thing that the counselor seemed to misinterpret. What can I do? TLDR, I am really stressed after talking to school counselor about my stepdad. They made a CPS report and I think they're assuming things are worse than they are. Aunt calls me a selfish bitch on the phone and tells me to think about how spoiled and privileged I am. Last year on my 16th birthday, I got my license. When I got home, I had a brand new car sitting in driveway. It was a blue 2018 hybrid, and currently the love of my life. Her name is Sparky and I adore her. I love Sparky, I pay for my own gas and I keep her clean. I haven't been in a wreck and even though I'm not the best driver, I'm very safe on the road. I am very privileged, and I'm very lucky that I have parents who love me enough and that are in a financial position to buy me a car. They don't give me gas money, per my request. I work for my own. But they do pay for fixes when it needs it. Flat tire, dead battery, etc. My aunt and cousin have been staying at my house for about 2 days now. My aunt is pretty nice and she is not in the financial position to buy my cousin a car. My aunt does own a car herself though. Today I got home from work and pulled into my driveway to see my cousin waiting for me. I parked and got out to ask her what she wanted. She asked me if I could take her to the mall. It opened in my area, and I said yes because I need to get a couple things for my mom because her birthday is coming up. I go inside to change out of my uniform into some regular clothes and walk outside to see my aunt and cousin talking. My cousin stops talking when she sees me and nudges my aunt with her elbow. She walks up to me and says that my cousin got her license a week ago. Great. Congrats. My aunt looks at my cousin and then asks if maybe I could let her drive to the mall. Ha, no. My aunt asks why and I respond with I'm not letting a 16-year-old who's had her license for a week drive my car. She got upset and said that she can't afford to get cousin a car so she hasn't driven since her driver's test. I asked why not let her drive your car? My aunt says that she doesn't want cousin to crash it because she's not a very good driver. I said why the hell would I want her to crash mine then? And gets mad then says that my parents spoiled me, that it's not really my car, and then goes to complain to my parents and ask them if cousin can drive it. Parents say nope, it's up to op because it's her car, and gets mad then packs up with cousin and leaves. My parents said that I could have just let cousin drive the car, but why in the world would I let her after her own mother says that she's a bad driver? Aunt calls me a selfish bitch on the phone and tells me to think about how spoiled and privileged I am. Am I the unreasonable one? Also, was just informed that earlier today after my aunt called she let my cousin drive her car. Cousin crashed into a truck in a Taco Bell parking lot. Aunt called to say this would have never happened if I let my cousin drive my car. Karma is sweet. My 30 years old male wife, 29 years old female, just told me she doesn't love me anymore and wants to end our relationship, but still live together for financial reasons and for continuity for our 3 young kids. Is this a terrible idea? I'm going to start by apologizing in advance if this doesn't stay fully focused. My wife and I have been together for 10 years, married for 5. We met in college and has been the love of my life since. 2 days ago she told me she doesn't love me anymore and for her happiness wants our relationship to end. I probably should have seen this coming. Our relationship has been rocky since we met. But for whatever reason I always wanted to make it work. We have 3 kids together, all under the age of 6. They are amazing and so happy and the best thing from our marriage. Financially, my wife is a stay-at-home mom. She owns our house outright from family money. She has no student loans, but also no college degree. I make a fairly decent income and support our family. Since my wife doesn't have a job and no way to pay bills, she wants me to move into her finished basement and continue to pay utilities and food for us and our kids, in addition to keeping her on my health insurance. She wants to take time to get her degree and file for dissolution afterwards, so she can support herself and our kids. She also wants this for continuity for our kids. While she doesn't love me anymore, she doesn't want me out of our kids' lives even weekly, and still wants to be friends with me. I'm honestly dying inside right now, because as rocky as our relationship has been I've never loved her less, and she has been all I've ever loved or wanted. I don't know how to proceed or even feel at this point. I'm terrified because I've let my friendships go since we've been married and while my family will support me I don't have many friends left. I'm terrified about finances. I'm terrified of not being able to be happy without her. Honestly I'm so confused about everything going on in my head. On top of that, is it stupid to stay in the house for our kids? It would be convenient for me financially too as even though if I moved out we would share custody. I don't have to pay child support this way. It's also better for my taxes. I'm just so lost I don't know what to think. Sorry for the long-winded ramble. Am I the unreasonable one for not helping pay for my friend's wedding because she didn't make me a bridesmaid? I hope you can look past the awful title and give me a fair judgment. So my friend Josie has been with her boyfriend for 15 plus years. I've known Josie for almost 6 years and we've been really close. Despite there being a significant age gap in our relationship, Josie and her boyfriend are tying the knot, but it's more of a formality. They already live together, have kids, own a house etc. So instead of a big extravagant wedding, they're renting a mansion to host like 15-ish people including myself. They're getting married on the property, and we're going to party there. There's a pool, and it's on the water so there will be plenty of fun stuff to do. In lieu of wedding gifts, they just want everyone to contribute to lodging. The price isn't outrageous once you factor in how much a destination wedding costs, but still, it's pricey. So Josie has a friend Melody that she's gotten really close with in the past 3 years. They're about the same age and both have daughters. Their relationship is at times a frenemy relationship. She also has a girlfriend from work who she's close with named Valerie. They've worked together for 2 years or so. Valerie and Josie have been planning the wedding weekend. Well, when I had lunch with Josie showed me the invite list and my name wasn't on it. When I asked her about it, she said it was an oversight and of course I'd be there. I asked why 3 of the girls had stars by their names, and she said that those were the bridesmaid. It was Valerie, Melody, and her sister along with the groom's 2 brother, and Melody's husband. I asked if I was going to be her bridesmaids and she said I wasn't because Melody is more sensitive than me and she'd feel some kind of way about it. I asked why Valerie was one and she said Valerie is helping her plan it so it seemed right. I decided to let this go until she showed me the plan of the house, and I realized there wasn't enough rooms. I asked her who was doubling up, and she said no one. I'd be sleeping on the couch or bunking with the children because I didn't have A+1 and all the couples were together. I told her not to worry about me, that I'd just get a hotel on my own so I didn't have to bunk with 10-year-old girls and a toddler. She said she couldn't get married without me and I'd have to be there with them, and I said clearly you can get married without me. Valerie and Melody think I'm being too sensitive and that I'm ruining the wedding. But why would I pay to sleep on a couch? Am I being unreasonable? I, 41 years old male, am struggling with new fatherhood and my wife's, 40 years old female, cancer diagnosis. A year and a half ago I married the woman of my dreams. I met her almost 15 years ago and life just didn't line up for us until then. In early July we found out we were pregnant with our first child after 8 months of trying, a baby boy. Life seemed so perfect and I was on cloud 9 with everything. Right before Christmas, my wife went into preterm labor and we found out then that she has advanced ovarian cancer. The doctors all said that we were lucky because it's particularly aggressive, and if she wasn't pregnant it would have been disastrous. On Christmas Eve she was induced and we welcomed our baby son of 33 weeks. He's doing great in the NICU luckily, but 2 days later she had her cancer surgery and scans. They had to take her whole uterus and ovaries plus big tumors from her stomach and one kidney, and they found cancer cells in her lungs. She's going to go through chemotherapy soon. 6 months. The doctor's prognosis wasn't very positive. Her survival rate is around 10%, and that's only if the chemo works. Because it's so aggressive they're afraid it won't. I'm struggling pretty hard at being a husband and dad right now. I love her so freaking much, but all I want to do is run away. I can't handle seeing her so sick, and I know it's only going to get worse. I can't handle knowing that she might die. I can't handle seeing my son in the NICU even though he's doing really good. I can feel myself checking out because it's all too much, and I know I need to be there for them. But I don't know how, and I don't know how to tell her because I know it's not her fault. I feel like I'm failing and I don't know what to do, so I'm turning here. How do you support the people who need you when all you want to do is run? How do I be a good husband and dad when I feel like I'm not equipped for any of this? I see these super supportive husbands on oncology and dads in the NICU and I feel like crap that I'm internally screaming and feeling so hopeless, and they've got it all together, you know? My wife and baby boy deserve the best and I don't know how to give it to them. Help? My wife, 32 years old female, has been having an affair, and I'm broken. My wife, 32 years old female, and I, 30 years old male, got married in September 2018 after being together for 3 years. Right before our honeymoon, we bought a house together in VA, and after we got back, pooled our remaining money and time to completely redo her old starter home in MD and sold it in early 2019. We both work full-time jobs in Virginia. I make pretty good money. She makes even better money. My wife, let's call her Katie, decided to pursue an MBA and started last fall. She had an educational trust that her parents started for her, and therefore didn't ask me for any financial assistance. However, because I saw how time-consuming the MBA was on top of her already large professional workload, I took it upon myself to take care of everything related to our still relatively new home, including dealing with contractors, managing all our bills, maintaining the house, taking care of our dog, purchasing/assembling furniture, yard work, cooking, cleaning, laundry, and hosting/entertaining her family that insisted on coming over at least 2 weekends every month. Lately, Katie had been unhappy with our relationship, complaining that I wasn't spending enough quality time with her and not making her feel wanted. I tried to argue several times that between her work and studies, and my work and home responsibilities, that there simply wasn't very much time to spend together in general. We would frequently not even get to eat dinner until 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, and I would either need to bring her a meal to her home office, or we would quickly eat together, and she would return to schoolwork to study or percolate in group projects/session. She would argue back that the things I was doing around the house were simply my responsibility as a husband, and that while she appreciated it, it didn't count towards me trying to maintain or build our relationship. We'd also been arguing a lot about other things, and combined with the lack of free time, would be intimate maybe once a month. But after one particularly emotional, and drunken, conversation, about 3 or 4 weeks ago now, I vowed that despite what I already thought was prioritizing her needs, that I would go even further. I began to take off work. I, unlike her, still had to go in during the pandemic, or go in late/leave early, stopped seeing friends, skipped workouts, and would even wait until she was occupied with something else to even take a shower. Also, I could spend as much available time as possible with her between her obligations. As a result, things seemed to be slightly improving between us. And now we arrive at last Wednesday. As per usual, I was making dinner for us. We have a tablet in the kitchen that I primarily use for recipes. As I was finishing up, the tablet began pinging non-stop, and I checked out what was happening. As it turns out, the tablet is linked to her Google credentials, and I first saw an ongoing Hangouts conversation between Katie and a friend, discussing what to do about someone's wife who had come to our house that day while I was at work. Scrolling through the conversation history, I found more about Katie's lack of feelings for me, and the longing and dreaming to instead be with some guy, who we'll call Luke. Physically shaking at this point, I decided to venture away from Hangouts and open her Gmail, where I found several emails, going as far back as March, between her and Luke, calling each other babe, sweetheart, and my love. Unsure about what to do next, I first took screenshots of everything I could find, then stepped outside to call the only person with law experience that I knew, an executive at my company who I'd become friends with. He advised that I immediately confront her, but first call someone to come over to the house to act as a witness, in case things became physical, or if she might later try to claim they did. So I had a friend over in about 20 minutes, I confronted Katie, and she confessed to the relationship and admitted that they had been intimate several times over the past 4 months, both at hotels and in our home. Now completely distraught, I tried to maintain my composure, and asked her to leave. She stayed at a hotel for 2 nights, then despite my protest, came home on Friday, stating this was her house too. She insisted on talking when she returned, and not having a witness this time, I decided to record the entire conversation on my phone. She tried to reiterate that she had been unhappy, but despite that, had been reaching out to her friends and mother about suggestions and resources she could use to help our relationship, even though I had suggested counseling in the past, but she refused. She tried to tell me that she made a mistake, that she had already broken it off with Luke a week ago, that I was the only person she wanted to spend her life with, and the only reason she hadn't told me about it was because her friends had advised her not to. She also said that if we truly love each other, that divorce was a mistake, and that we should be able to get through anything. I replied that love is worthless without trust, and then said that if she insists on staying here, to please stay in the guest room, obviously free usage of her home office and the guest bathroom, but to please stay out of our bedroom/bathroom unless telling me first. So now I'm here, sitting in my house alone with just my dog. Her and her aunt/uncle/cousins are currently at our neighbor's house for a barbecue. They don't know about what she did. I can't bear to go over there because I don't want to talk to or even look at Katie, much less pretend in front of a bunch of people that nothing happened. 90% of me wants to get a divorce. But despite her feelings, I was very happy with the life we were building. We had even been talking about being pregnant by this time next year. But no matter what I decide to do, I know I don't want to make that decision without getting more information about what I can do, what might end up happening if we proceed, and I definitely want to talk to a few VA lawyers to protect myself. We only have one joint account with less than $20,000 in it, and the only asset we share is our house, so that's it. I'm sorry for sharing so much. If you've made it this far, thank you for reading, and I would really appreciate any and all insight, suggestions, or advice. I just feel completely destroyed, empty, and alone. Please help me. Update. I am absolutely stunned and overwhelmed by the level of support you all have shown me. I truly can't believe that all of would take the time to offer your advice, kindness, and wisdom to an absolute stranger. I am doing my best to read all of the advice, and from the bottom of my somewhat shattered heart, thank you. This has been an unbelievable light in the darkest time of my life. Am I the unreasonable one for uninviting my parents from my wedding and telling them that it's not an excuse for them to leave the opportunity they lost when my sister died? Pre-Rona, my sister unfortunately passed away 2 months before their wedding day was set, last year. I hate traditions and I hate the concept of having someone give me away at my wedding. The problem is that my parents seem to see my wedding as an opportunity to get what they tragically lost when my sister died. They hate everything about my wedding. There will be no flower girls. There will be no ring bearer since me and my fiancé will have them in our pockets. I'm not going to be wearing a white dress and we will have no bridesmaids or groomsmen. The biggest thing with them is the fact that I don't want to be giving away. They erupted and called me selfish when I told them this, and then they said, "We are already compromising and letting you have your way with breaking a lot of other tradition, but this one is too important to your father and myself." I told them that they are not letting me do anything. This is my wedding and I'm the one paying for everything along with my fiancé. Then they started going on about how this isn't for me anymore. This is for my father and the opportunity he lost when my sister died, and that if I don't let him walk me down, he'll never have an opportunity to walk his daughter down the aisle again. I told them that with all due respect, I don't care about opportunities they are losing and that my wedding is not an excuse for them to live out the opportunities they lost when my sister died, and that if they can't see that and that if they can't respect my wishes then maybe they shouldn't come at all. Am I the unreasonable one? This all happened in February and we haven't spoken to each other since. I feel a bit relieved if I'm honest and I don't miss them. Update. Some people urged me to give my parents a call. I'm going to spare some details, but I pretty much talked about how my entire life, I was overshadowed by her and my achievements meant nothing in comparison to her, and now after her death, everything in my life revolves around her death and revolves around my parents using me and my new accomplishments as a way to remember her. At first they were defensive because they never saw it that way, but I listed off at various examples and they were just a bit silent, like they were thinking about stuff. I told them that if anybody has compromised, it's me for basically my whole life and for the year after my sister died, and not them by letting me have control over a wedding that I'm paying for. We've been speaking for about 3 hours. I called them about 2 hours after the post and people were urging me to contact them. We are still in a call as I type this, and I guess I can say that we are in a better place than we were before. I apologized for not inviting them to my wedding, and they apologized for all the years of basic neglect towards me and for their actions revolving my sister's death and grief. We also opened up about a lot of stuff they did to me as a kid that made it to where my relationship with them as an adult is strained. Talking about it made things a lot better for me. We agree to go to family therapy and they are going to try grief counseling. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more stories delivered to you. Thanks for listening. See you later.